Tiff and Rach here.
We are the Nobodies. This is our podcast, and you just missed Rach dropping it like it's hot to the floor.
We do that sometimes. We are on the last day of the first half of our third term of ATSI training. We've made it. And we are going into the day with a quiz, because what would be a departure without lots of extra things to do on the last day?
Quiz, and we get to deliver our 6th and final session of this portion, so halfway through the 12 series, with our outside model clients. Yep, and then we get to leave them for 2 weeks. So what we're trying to do today in session 6 is open up the deeper breath. We're trying to
elongate and
the
properly,
lumbars.
Properly and proportionally elongate the lumbars.
Lower back,
Yep.
And we're trying to not leave them in a type of way, because we're not going to see them for 2 weeks.
And
generally in our practice, we would be like, hey, here's my number. Call me if things get wonked.
Yeah. Normally, though, we would just be continuing on. A 12 series is intended to have a rhythm and a flow.
Yeah.
And, it was brought to our attention by one of our instructors that, session 5 and 6 being close together can be really lovely for people because they're so connected in the sense that they share territory.
What connects them, Rach?
The Psoas connects them.
So as I was saying, oh my God, the Psoas, okay?
And, when we do these sessions, these are sometimes bringing emotion to the surface with people. They are some deep places. Tiff and I wanted to reflect on our time yesterday, giving and receiving our 6th session with each other.
And we're back.
Finding our way through technology once again. We were going into talking about how our sessions went with each other.
Yes.
I received first. I have a lot of length to get. We actually started a cute little growth.
And we're back.
So
Third time's the charm.
Yeah, my growth chart on the wall gained popularity quite quickly within the rest of our class. Tiff and I were measuring our height. I should preface this with the fact that in first term, Tom said to me, he's like, you need length. And what he said was that within a structure, no structure or no cloth can be longer if it's twisted. So if you twist cloth, it's always going to be shorter. And if you think of us and our fabric of our fascia being twisted, which we are all in spirals, that if I untwist the spiral, I will gain length. And he alluded to the fact that I have probably a good 1.5 to 2 inches of height lost in my compression.
In her fascial mid-meat suit.
Yes, my mid-meat suit needed some length. Tiff did an amazing job yesterday. She did me right. And
She did me right too, it turns out.
We both really felt a type of way when we say that. It was a type of way that, like, there was breath in places that I hadn't felt. There was an elongation of my
in my left. Yeah, in my left diaphragm. I'm sorry, you had an elongation.
No, it's good. Well, we were just, kind of going through the motions yesterday of trying to embody and integrate some of these changes. And so we've been monitoring my height. And I really, from these past few sessions since we started monitoring my height, I'm probably an inch taller than what I was.
And this is very scientific. We stand up against the wall.
Yes.
And we put a pin on the top of the head. We really dig it into the top of the head, though.
Yes.
And NASA could use our measurements.
Yeah. Because, all you have to know, though, is, like, I can't pretend that I'm in a different place than I am. Yes, the pen can move slightly, but truthfully, there's no way to bugger up this measurement by that much that I'm, faking an inch of height.
I see it when she gets off the table. And, of course, the next morning, it's settled a little bit.
Yeah.
But she's retaining this height.
So Tom used something as a line yesterday to mention that I have now crossed the continental divide, where my height and my length has an ability to carry itself, where I've moved past that kind of tipping back point. I've gained height
She's embodying
I'm embodying my height and my length.
She's invading that height with herself, with her inner self.
I didn't use a step stool this morning. Hey guys.
Okay.
Reach.
She's got that reach, though.
And so when we went into Tiff's session, there's been this like blocked path for her upper left side of her body,
AKA fascial demon.
Oh, it's a sad pocket.
And the first 2 times she got in there, I cried and cried and cried. And part of the tears were frustration. Part of them were like just a surprise. Like it was all types of things, really. And she got in there yesterday and I just felt like I'm in this. And there were no tears. And not that tears are a bad thing. I'm here to experience whatever happens. And I don't shy away or try to hide them or apologize for them. But it's kind of this nice step of like being able to be with what is without sort of a meltdown, I guess.
Yeah, and we're going deeper into the body now than we've ever been, because in our 3 series, there's just so much territory to cover that this is
mostly superficial.
Yeah, it is. Well, in most people, because in a 3 series, you're looking at all angles. Once again, within the context of this project as a 12 series, we are taking on each line as its own project. It gets its own session, its own contributions, and we don't have to we obviously take it contextually into the other lines, looking at how it invades those other spaces or what it's doing.
How it's contributing to that overall pattern.
But we're not necessarily we get to focus. That's the point. And so this focus of the deep lines are places that we've never had focus to yet. And
of this length
and depth. Yes. And being able to really touch into some really like important structures that are fundamental. They are some of our primitive structures going into these deep areas. We're looking forward to what this brings for the 2 of us and how we can embody it over the next 2 weeks of like, be back in real life.
Yeah. And how we can then, because we've experienced and because we can embody and because we practice this thing called attunement, how then we can affect those that we help with this knowledge, this felt sense, this lived sense, right?
Yeah, the lived sense, we're working on that, and with our outside clients, with our clients at home, some of these places we've gone to within the context of our training, within the portions of our life that we've noticed like some relationships change in our life of who is around us and who isn't. There's this editing process when you go through this type of
upgrade.
It is. It's an elevation.
And this is not a judgment to anyone else at all.
No.
It is just an
where we're at
of going somewhere new and evolving and changing and being okay with that and what it brings and what it leaves behind.
I've heard this many times in people like in kind of these places of elevation refer to this as the lonely chapter. And it's a really lonely chapter. You have to become really comfortable with yourself and you realize that what you once had isn't what you want anymore, even though the familiar sometimes feels like it's what you'd want. And then you want, because your elevation is saying, but it's not. And I don't feel aligned with that. So being not where you are, if it's in the context of friends, sometimes that has to change. And it's really meant to be because you're moving upwards. You're not going to go back to where you were because that is a discomfort on its own, is going backwards.
It's the loneliest of lonelies to be with people who don't understand you and don't sharpen you. And there's something I wanted to share in context with just this deep, deep work. It's eluding me, and maybe it'll come for the next episode.
We really want to make sure that all of you take each time every day and that like if you are in a stage of elevation, reach out. I urge people to find community in where they're at any certain point in time. Yeah. And
we've had this really cool experience at our Airbnb here. We have an older gentleman who walks by every morning with his little dog Buddy and he lets go of the leash and Buddy comes into the house and just gives us so much love. And this last day, he gave us his number and he said, hey, next time you're in town, reach out and we can all get together. And we got Buddy a little toy, a little turtle. And it was just really special. We're collecting our folks wherever we go. And that's part of being open and being embodied, is that you have more capacity to share and to give and to be. And the thing that I wanted to share, I want you to connect with yourself today with those 3 breaths, but I want you to try and connect your sacrum, that triangle bone that's at the very base of your spine in between your 2 hips, all the way to the back of your head. So maybe you lay on your back in order to sense this. Maybe you put your feet underneath your knees. You take those 3 breaths and you try to make a wave from your sacrum, that triangle bone, all the way up your back to the back of your head. And just see what moves, what doesn't, what feels good.
That's up for today.
Attention is everything.
We appreciate yours.
Tiffin, reach out.